Fanform, man. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you, Dustin. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, absolutely, man. We are so pumped to talk to you. We were going over everything. We're fans of you. We watch a ton of the stuff that you've been in, and then we're looking over the resume and seeing all the stuff we haven't watched, and we're like, oh my gosh, this guy is killing it. Actually, one of our interns is a huge fan of yours. They're going to be thrilled that we're talking to you. Oh yeah, they're responsible for getting you booked. I'm just going to say it. They're like, hey, have you guys thought about it? We're like, whoa, all right, cool. So
You should give this person a pay rise.
Yeah, exactly.
They've got great taste. They've got great taste.
I love that. I love that. So listen, man, how we normally start this whole thing off, and like I said, just looking at the resume, I got to know, is it something you always knew that this was what you wanted to do? Did you kind of fall into it accidentally and then decide this is what I love and I want to pursue it? Or how did it all start, man?
No, this all started when I was a little boy. So I grew up in the north of England. Lancashire is the name of the county.
Oh, I didn't know this. I didn't recognize the accent.
Yeah, you have to excuse me. I'm in New Mexico right now, and the weather's just changed, and I've got the allergies quite bad. I did a play, a little play in primary school. So primary school for you Americans is 4 years old up to 10 years old.
Yeah, like elementary school. Yeah.
Like elementary school, exactly. And I did a little play in my little village, and I loved the whole process of it. I loved the attention that I got. I got to play this very comedic role where I had this audience participation bit, and I had an absolute ball. I remember one night, I remember that we had to bring on like a pretend fish, and I had to throw it into the audience, and I was having such a great time that I thought, wouldn't it be great if I go to the fishmongers? I'm like 10 years old, and I get a real fish and throw a real fish into the audience. And I didn't tell anyone this, and I did it. And I threw this real dead fish into the audience. And thankfully, my little buddy caught it. And just that whole experience just made me think like, wow, I love this. And, I come from a little village where, my brother's a carpenter, my sister's a teacher, my friends are electricians and dig ditches and painters, decorators, electricians. And doing this acting, my mum was a model. She wasn't like a top model, like, supermodel, catwalk modeling. She was like back of cereal boxes modeling. And
Yeah.
And so me and my brother and my sister, we would do little kids modeling. And it was a way for me to experience life outside of my village and have this insight into another world that could be possible for me. And it all started from there, really, So I never studied acting at high school or in school. I would go to an acting class once a week when I was a teenager. And then the modeling agency that my mum was with and that we were with is like family models, like child models. They had an acting side. And I think as puberty kicked in and the pimples started, like the modeling dried up. And I was like, how else can I miss time off school and not get into trouble? Like, well, actually, they do the acting as well. So I started doing commercials, and at the time they were called corporate videos, which it's almost like business commercials.
Yeah.
And it kind of took off from there. And then I booked my first sort of serious dramatic role on a TV series when I was like 14 or 15. And the whole time I'm at school and I'm studying and I'm getting to take time off school. Also, I went to an all boys school, so meeting girls was pretty hard. And actually, like, you go to an acting class and I'm acting with other girls, like, and I can do kissing scenes. This is amazing. So that's kind of how it started. And then I worked, and again, I never took acting, never studied it at school. And then I left college I left school when I was 18, studied English literature and philosophy and economics. And I tried to get into drama school when I was 18, 19, and I didn't get in. And then, unfortunately, my dad died very tragically, very out of the blue. And the acting went on hold for a little second. Mm-hmm. And then from that moment, I started laboring on building sites and getting in trouble with some older boys and girls, and had some moments that I'm not particularly proud of, and spent a couple of nights in jail now and again. And all this was, as I'm like 18, 19 years old. And then out of the blue, I auditioned for a play when I was 20 years old. And my dad had only been gone, less than a year. And I got to go on a national tour in the UK about, it's called Beautiful Thing. It's a beautiful play by a great writer called Jonathan Harvey about two young boys, like teenage boys that fall in love. And we went on this national tour, and getting to step into this boy's shoes every night and forget about myself and it kind of brought me back to what I really like doing, which was acting. And then from there, I did a TV series that brought me down to London. So I left home when I was 18, did a TV series for 2 years. Then I was like 21 years old, and the TV series finished. And I started recognizing that I was going to auditions and not really knowing what I was doing, and I'd meet other boys who were 21 in the audition room, and they all knew each other, and they could all talk about this craft, and they all knew playwrights, and talking of Chekhov and Shakespeare, and I was just completely out of my depth, and so I decided then at 22, I decided, I need training. I need to learn more about what I'm doing here. I have good instincts. That's all I've relied on. How would I react in this situation?
Right.
Under these circumstances, which is still, the basis of my process now. But I needed to go to drama school to be put in an environment where different processes, different techniques were being thrown at me. And so I auditioned for drama school, and I was very fortunate. I got a scholarship, and I went to LAMDA, the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art, very good drama school. And I studied there for 3 years. Met my wife there. She was doing a semester course, and I met my wife there. And yeah, so in a nutshell, that is me from falling in love with acting to going to drama school. And then I left drama school at 20. I went late to drama school. I was 23 when I started. I came out when I was 26, and then came out at 26. And then that's really when things started taking off. I went to a good drama school. I was fortunate enough to get a good agent when I left. And then suddenly the auditions weren't just northern working class English lads. It was suddenly auditioning for American roles on big movies. And, and then that's kind of the springboard of chapter 2 of my acting career.
Wow.
Oh,
in a nutshell.
You can breathe now. Take a drink. Take a drink. Yes, I love it. I love it though, because you go from, it's really life. What you're explaining is your life, and you go from this confidence of throwing a real dead fish out into the audience, and then all the way up to getting to drama school, where you have some people who are more trained than you, who have more experience than you, and you have to deal with that, and how you have to overcome your insecurities, and how you can find a place to fit in. And so mental health is a big thing for us, and especially, when we're trying to do something we love, when we're trying to chase the dream, it's something that, mental health can either get in the way or push you forward. So throughout your journey of life, from that wee lad to where you are now, how has your mental health played a role in your life? Has it held you back in ways? Has it pushed you forward in some ways?
Wow, really good question, Logan. Mental health is huge for me. I struggle with mental health for sure. It is definitely a driving force. I suffer from anxiety, bipolar, been diagnosed with bipolar, and circumstances of my father's death, PTSD, and but I never knew any of this in my 20s. This is all happened in my 30s.
Right.
Yeah.
And really, the catalyst of it all was rejection. It was just constant rejection. I always say that acting has broken my heart more times than any girl ever has.
Right.
And there was a period, especially when I first moved to LA. So I went to drama school, and the anxiety was all quelled because, I'm at drama school, I'm busy every day, it's like the devil makes work for idle hands. And absolutely that's the case for me. I'm sure this is true for a lot of actors. When we're working, life is great, nothing to worry about. But the job of acting is not the acting. The job of the actor is how do you survive in between the jobs? And sometimes that's been years for me You know, like COVID and strikes and whatever else. Like these last 4 or 5 years for me have been the hardest in my career.
Yeah.
Work has really been difficult, and it's not for want or trying, or it's not for lack of opportunities. It's for whatever reason the universe has not been giving me, the jobs, and that's really forced me to look at my life and look at myself. The problem for actors and for any creatives is that we become our identity becomes married to what we do for a living.
Yep.
And unfortunately, the pitfalls of that is like, I'm only validated if I'm successful. I'm only validated. I'm only, my self-worth, unfortunately, was built in many years for my success, and booking a job. And then that all gets taken away from me. And then it's like, okay, who am I really? And all this was happening at the same time that my wife got pregnant, and I had to deal with me becoming a father while finding out about my own father. And I've struggled with addiction and drugs and alcohol, and acting is all kind of mixed up in the same thing. I've been sober now for 3 or 4 years, and I realized that acting is the drug, like all my other fun drugs that I used to enjoy taking.
Yeah.
And it's something that makes me feel good, right? It's something from the outside that's going to make me feel good. So mental health and my acting and my life, they're all intertwined together.
Oh, most definitely. Before Dustin hops in there, first of all, I want to say congratulations on your 3 years of sobriety.
Yeah.
We are also big mental health advocates. We have another podcast called Everything's Okay, where we talk about mental health and different subjects in mental health and just whatever's going on in our life. We call it our biweekly therapy session. And just from our 20-minute conversation, because we were talking a little bit before we hopped on the recording, you're a great person. You're so genuine and so humble and so nice. And I'm just fortunate enough just to have this conversation with you. So I really appreciate it. You know more than anyone else, and how Dustin and I do as well. This industry, you find a lot of fake people, you find some genuine people, and then you find just complete assholes. And you are a very genuine person. And I just wanted to say that.
Okay. So, and this is hilarious because, and this is just how much time we actually spend together, because the first thing that was about to come out of my mouth was commending you on overcoming your addiction. And we think so much alike, it's not even funny. But listen, so much to unpack there, because a lot of everything that you just said is so critically important, I think, to people trying to get into this industry. One, it very much is built on, and we like to call it selection, not rejection. And I think that goes towards the mental health, to get into the right mindset, right? You're not being rejected at this point. You just weren't selected. It's not that you weren't good enough. It's not that you didn't do the job the way you were supposed to. It's just at this particular time, they wanted somebody else. And, I think it's very important for anybody trying to break into the industry to have that mindset, because you're right. When you view it as rejection, that can start to play on you really heavily, really quickly. But if you go into it as auditioning is the job, getting the work is just the perk, right? That the job is, and it's about selection, not rejection. It's a whole different mindset. Also, I love that how you said, it's separating the two, because that's the other pitfall, is where it becomes how you get validated. It becomes whether you view yourself as a successful human being or not, is whether you're getting work. And I feel like, and we've talked to guest after guest after guest who, after periods of time, figure this out. I have to have that separation. I have a life and I'm an actor. And there is a difference. And I don't need to be validated by getting work to be successful here. And if I figure that out, then I'm not going to mess this up here by doing this. Because I feel like so many people don't figure it out, and then this messes up because they forget that it's a whole different thing, right? This is no different from you getting up and going to do carpentry on a building. You come home to the family, and that's your family, and that's your life. Well, so is acting. You're just going and spending time on a set and doing your job, but you're still coming home to the family. And as long as you keep that mindset, you're good, right?
100%.
So I love that you shared that, because not enough people get it. I feel like it's so critically important to understand. especially when, like you said, the universe is just at play and there are things that are not in your control. The strikes happen or COVID happen, and there's going to be a stretch where you're not going to get anything. And if you don't have that life and this is it, you're in big trouble. So you got to kind of try to figure that out. So thank you for sharing that, because I think it's just so critically important, and for your generosity and braveness in doing that. Because not a lot of people open up like that, especially men. You know, we get told you can't be emotional. You got to be this. You got to, especially now you're a father, right? And I too lost my dad at a very young age unexpectedly, and so I understand, and I know how that plays into, as an adult, what you do. And I was terrified to become a father because I was like, all I have is my mom. I don't even know if I know how to be a father. I didn't have that. So kudos to you for that too. Yeah, it's amazing, man. Yeah, I echo what Logan said. You are a genuinely good human being, man.
That's really nice. Thank you. And, there is what you said about the carpentry thing, right? You're a carpenter. You go to work. You work on wood. You do something. You build a door. You build a house, cabinet, and you come home. The only difference is that, I'm good at it now. I've really learned from it now. But there was a period of time where, if you're a carpenter, people aren't gonna. When you say, "Oh, I'm a carpenter," people are gonna say, "Oh, what did you build today?"
Yeah.
As an actor, there was a period of time where I dreaded the question. I meet someone, I get talking, and they're like, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" I used to dread it because I'd say, "Oh, I'm an actor," and you could see the face look like, "Oh, so you do a lot of theater," and it's like the amount of times that because I was putting all of my self-worth in someone else's validation.
That's right.
I would go through my resume, waiting for them to have seen me in one of these things, and then I feel okay because this person now understands that, I'm successful. And it's like, John, I had to it's like, Johnny, it's okay. People are just interested when you say you're an actor. So it took me a long time to again, just accept that, that I am happy in myself, I have a wonderful life. I'm healthy. I have a healthy daughter, I have a healthy wife. I think she's happy, pretty confident she's happy, I have a really good life, and it's just taken me a long time to accept that, the drug, the alcohol, the girl, the hot girlfriend, the great job, that's always external ways for me to feel good about myself. And the real challenge, and it's a daily thing, is do I just feel okay?
Yes.
With my,
Yes, most definitely. It's an amazing thing, and it's all about this journey that we call life. We're trying to continue putting one foot in front of the other, just trying to make sure today is better than yesterday. And sometimes that can be difficult, but it's all a learning process, because we never get a handbook with this thing that we call life. I mean, we're all put into unpredictable circumstances that that you have to act very swiftly on. And, it's all about continuing moving forward. But I would like to move forward on something very interesting. And I'm interested to talk about it because I haven't been able to find it yet. And is your recent short film called Happy Ending. I'm really curious about this thing because just from the poster, it looks very good.
And the name.
And so and the name. So I would like you to talk a little bit more about it and tell people where they can find it so I can finally watch it.
Well, you guys were just telling us then, right, that you wanted to, during COVID, you guys wanted to start writing your own thing. You wanted to start to be, be in control of everything. And
yes,
and me and my wife had the same premonition. We had a conversation during the pandemic, and we were like, my wife, she's very successful. She's doing very good. Her name's Elodie Young, amazing, talented, successful actress. And we were saying, how many times have we done a job where we hit a home run on on what we call the four bases? So the one is is it a good paycheck? Are we working with the director that we want to work with? Is it a good script? Is the part good? And are we working with the other actors that we really want to work with? And to get all of those 5 things at the same time, never happened for either of us. I got a bunch of ideas, and I read so many scripts, and so does Elodie, and a lot of them are great, but some of them aren't. And we're like, wow, someone's paying to get this made. And so we wanted to start creating our own content. So we created our production company. It's called Ugly Duckling Productions. And Happy Ending is the first, is the first film. Amazingly, no one's taken that name. I can't believe that.
I know, right?
Productions. And we want to, we want to write our own stories. And Happy Ending was an experiment, really, of like, do we enjoy creating together? Do we enjoy the process of making a film? And we both had the best creative, artistic experience of our lives, making a little short film,
Yes.
And we really enjoyed it. And so the premise of Happy Ending, originally we wanted to do a series of short films where we look at the underbelly of society that people really turned a blind eye to. So, your Guatemalan gardener, your Mexican dishwasher, your Southeast Asian masseuse, and we really wanted each character to kind of overlap in some shape or form. Then we realized that actually even making a short film is fucking expensive.
Yeah.
No easy feat just to like raise some money. So we're like, okay, maybe we're not going to be able to do 10 short films. So we decided on Happy Ending because Elodie is half Cambodian. Her father's Cambodian. I now, from meeting her father and knowing what he's been through, escaping the genocide and starting a new life for himself as a refugee in France, like I have such a pull and a love and a heart towards Cambodia, and we wanted to tell. We wanted to shine a light of what's going on in these massage parlors because I, from personal experience, I love a massage. I love a massage, but the amount of times I've been to a massage, not in America, not just America, I'm talking like in Europe, in England, and the amount of times that I go into what I think is a genuine massage parlor and I get offered this service. And at one point I started asking the ladies questions of like, why are you offering me this, And they're not all sex trafficked women in the sense that they have had their passports stolen from them, that they've been like taken from their country. No, some of this is business, and it's like they will go to these little villages in Thailand, in Cambodia, in Vietnam, and they will say, look, hey, you give us this money, we'll take you to this country, we'll set you up with a job and we'll give you this wage.
Wow.
And they do that. And so I would talk to different women that I would have these massages from in different countries over a few years. And they all kind of had the same story. They're from a little village and they're sending money back home to support their kids.
Yep.
The father and the husband is kind of out of the equation. And the reason they have to offer this service is because they get their wage is so minimal. By the time they find a place to live in whatever city they're sent to, they just don't have any money. So they offer this service to make a tip. And so we wanted to tell a story about that, especially because at the time it was like the Atlanta shootings. The crazy guy went in and, shot a bunch of women who were working in these in these parlors. And then originally we wrote it and it was like, and we got great notes. We got like great notes off a great Oscar award winning director. And he said, look, it's truthful, it's real, it's sad, but it doesn't go anywhere. And it was a really good note because we realized like, we're making a document. It's almost like a documentary here, Even in a short film, we still got to tell a story. We still got to make an arc.
Right.
And we didn't want to just have our lead character being Cambodian for the sake of shining a light on representation of like, it's like, no, we want to tell a story with someone from a minority background. Okay. And also we want to shine a light of what's going on in these places.
That's right.
And so Happy Ending became this little short film where this Cambodian girl comes to America trying to support her family back home. She's carrying a tragic secret. And, she realizes that in order to help her family back home, she has to give these happy endings. And in the movie, I won't give it away, but, she gets a little happy ending of her own by the end of it,
Nice.
Ooh, a little plot twist.
There's so much to unpack there. Everything there is brilliant. I will say, let me start with this because like Logan said, this is a podcast for up and comers and people trying. I recently had that same conversation where I went in. It was actually when we were pitching our series, and I had my chance in front of, and several of them outside of that, I heard them say this exact thing that you just said to other people that were pitching other projects. That's a great story. We love everything about it. You've got this. It's just not a pill we want to feed to the public. And I'm just like, wow. So, you know, you're not alone in having that told to you. It's just like, hey, everything about that's great. We just don't have a place for it. We don't know how to sell that. Have you tried a documentary? The problem with that is if I wanted to tell a documentary, I would make a documentary. I want to do a film, right? So I want to tell this. And then that leads me into, I love that you guys proceeded forward and did it, because Logan and I talk about this all the time. We're creatives and we're artists and we like to tell stories, right? We're storytellers. But if we can create art that starts conversations and informs and educates people, then that's a win-win all the way around. Because there's a lot of stuff that people just don't sit down and feel comfortable talking about. But if they watch a movie and they connect and they're relatable to the characters and that story that's going, and they talk, it works into that conversation. And all of a sudden they are talking about that topic because this is real life and real people. And whether they've been through it or they know somebody that's been through it, that opens the door for that conversation. And I feel like as artists and creatives, if we can do that with what we put out there in the world, it's a win-win. Entertain and inform? What? I mean, that's the whole goal, right? So I love that you guys did that and made a project. And I like how you approached it, even though you didn't do the whole, 10 of them and kind of thing. And yeah, by the way, we're in pre-production right now. Like I said, we're going to shoot in December. We know it's expensive. But I love that it's real. You're like, no, we want to focus on real people, the everyday people, the dishwasher, the such and such that nobody talks about, right? Because I feel like the most successful art and the most successful films and television that connect with people are about real people. Somebody that you can identify with. Like, and I feel like too often we put art out there, not knocking it, there's a place for all these things, but where you just don't feel connected to it. There's no relatability to it. It's a wham, bam, that was exciting, but now I'm going to go home and forget all about it. I like the stories that I go home and I can't stop telling people about it. You got to see this, you got to see that. Oh my gosh, I felt this, I felt that. And I feel like that's what you guys created there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we hope so. We're very privileged, right, that we get to do this for a living. For years, I had a problem. People are like, why did you get into acting? And my answer would always be, well, it's better than going down the coal mine. It was like a very, working class, self-deprecating comment. And it's taken me years to realize, the power of this medium. And the power of this medium is absolutely, like if I can share my deepest, darkest secrets through a character, 9 times out of 10, that secret is universal, and that's what that's the link of humanity. And like, if someone's going to see that and be like, I know that feeling, whether it's a comedy, whether it's a drama, whether I know that feeling, right? And like, that's the power of what we get to do. That's the privilege of this medium,
Absolutely.
Oh yes, most definitely. And we're kind of in the same boat as far as topic of conversation, I guess you could say, as far as the film genre, because our first film was a school shooter film. And, in the States, I mean, school shootings happen all the freaking time. So by the time we finished it up, got it in post, started submitting it to film festivals, nobody wanted to touch it because it was such a hot button issue, which is understandable. But then that plays into my mental health, and I'm like, well, what if it's not good? What if it's not this? What if it's not that? But then I go back and watch it, and I'm like, no, this is a good film. It's just a hot button issue. So it's that counterbalance of, trying to put out something creative, but also like, you don't want to be held back because of things either. So it's very interesting. But do I regret making it? Do I regret putting it out? No, not at all. But it's unfortunate that society is the way it is, to where like that film can't get as seen as much as I think it should. So did you have fear of that when you were making this film as well?
I mean, no, because when we made this film, we teamed up with some great producers, Indie Pop Records, that have done a bunch of short films, and we also managed to team up with David Chu, who's got Anti-Archive Productions in Cambodia, like an award-winning director. But we made the film because we wanted to make a film. The idea of festivals and all that was not something we were thinking of. But then when it got to the point of like, okay, guys, now we're going to submit to festivals, then actually it was it was even more precious than like auditioning as an actor
Yeah.
and not being selected, as you say, Dustin. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's actually like it's even more personal because actually no, I wrote this and my wife directed this.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, like but that's the great. You know, you have to keep submitting because maybe this year is something people don't want to touch. You submit again next year. It's not about, and you know, and really, like maybe it's just a little too close with what's going on right now. But at some point, you know, people need to see films like that. You know,
Yep.
especially around the rest of the world as well. You know, like have you submitted to festivals outside of America? Because I'm sure you know European festivals and British film festivals, they're going to want to see that because they. You know, like I have a 6-year-old and we live in America and she was born in America. And definitely the one major factor for me considering returning to the UK is her being in high school
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
gun, you know, and the possibility of you know, gun shooting, mass shooting. So I would say like it's so important that you have to keep submitting. You have to keep submitting. It's expensive to
Yeah.
keep
No.
submitting, but like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even yeah, submitting to the festivals is almost as expensive. It's sometimes more expensive than making the film. It's just crazy. But well, so I have to ask because you said Aluddy directed and you wrote it. Any plans to be on camera together in something or co-direct something or what's
no.
the process of continuing to work together? Where's that at?
We were really good as me writing and Elodie directing.
Okay.
I didn't write the film to be in it, but we were shooting. It was like I'm definitely going to be cheaper than hiring an actor because I'm not going to charge myself a fee. So
Right. Exactly.
I wrote the thing as well. So I played a pivotal character towards the end of the film, and there was one moment where I was on set and I still had my writer's hat on, and we rehearsed the scene, and I kind of made a suggestion, and Elodie shut me down very quickly. Said, "Johnny, you're not the writer now. You're the actor. So unless you have a question from an acting perspective, like shut up."
Yeah, yeah. And she does have a black belt. So you better just like sound, nope, nope, I'm done. I'm good.
She did.
I love, but you know what though, to collaborate like that, like we're family, and so we have contention every now and then as well. But to know that, you know, and respect that, and understand that you're not always going to be on the same page, and that's huge. Because to be able to do what we do is a gift and a blessing anyway. To get to do it when we do it with family and people that we love, even more of a blessing. So to understand that you are going to have some points where you disagree on things or whatever, and you're able to understand that and work through that's a beautiful thing because you don't want anything to mess up what you got, right? Especially something so stupid about I don't want this or that. It's like whatever, man. What's the best and move forward, right? So I love that, man.
No, exactly. Making the film was easier than doing a self-tape with her for sure. Self-taping with your spouse it's like the notes seem super personal, you know, like when she gives me and maybe it's because she's French, but there's a directness to the way that she gives me a note, whereas I feel like I'm a little more polite as an English actor. And sometimes the notes are too brutal, and because there's not that you know, we know each other too well. Like doing self tapes together is a contentious issue. So we try and avoid doing self tapes together.
Love
At least
that.
you know.
I
At
love
least
that.
you know. That's
Oh
so
my
funny.
gosh.
But how we like to round out our interviews is by presenting you with some popcorn questions. Now, these are
Yes.
just some fun questions just to get to know you a little bit more, the audience to get to know you a little bit more, and, fun memories that get to be had. So the first one is, what was the funniest moment or most memorable moment on the set of Happy Endings?
Funnest or most memorable?
Mm-hmm.
Most memorable was finding our lead actress. She's from Long Beach, Cambodian American, and in the recall that we had. Okay, yeah, very quickly then. So for the recall that we had, she works in marketing. Her name is Jasmine Sim, but she loves acting. She's been doing acting lessons for a couple of years. She doesn't have an agent. She was an amazing actress. She elevated this film by a million feet, you know, like it was just unbelievable what she brought to it. And so giving her that opportunity and seeing her in the recall, and at the end of the audition, she cried because for her, she says, even if this doesn't go any further, just being in this room right now with you and Elodie is a dream come true. So thank you. So for us being able to give her that opportunity, it was the best. It was the best feeling. Yeah.
That's lovely.
Love that. We have that very same similar story. And I think when people ask me why I do this, you know, is it for the money? Is it for the fame? It's for that right there. If you can do that for somebody, what better feeling in the world to be able to provide that for somebody? And our actress and our upcoming one, same thing. Unknown, complete unknown talent, but you could see it. Born natural. This is what she's meant to do. And she blew us away. And when we told her, the tears just came. And she's like, I would do this for free. And we're like, well, you're not. But, to bring someone to tears and know that you've allowed them to have something happen in their life that they've always dreamed of doing, that maybe they didn't think they could. There's no better feeling in the world to provide that for somebody. And so I love that you shared that. Okay.
Oh, and then quickly. And then what brought it all full circle was, a couple of weeks ago, it got into Cambodia Town Film Festival in Long Beach. She's from Long Beach.
Yes.
She went to the film festival 7 years ago when Angelina Jolie was at the festival. And we went with our film Happy Ending, and she got awarded Best Breakthrough Artist. Yes. And she had her own little expose in the film program. And like to do that for her in front of her community, like, oh God, that felt good. That felt really good.
Yeah, you guys are amazing. Like we said, amazing human beings. Okay, so this one we love, and the answers always, they're either really surprising or just like I'm like, really, like what? Okay, and I'm really curious on this one. If you could go back and tell your 10-year-old self something, what would it be?
Oh. Don't do that.
Yeah. After speaking with you a little bit before we went live on this thing, I'm really curious because your 10-year-old self, what would you tell old Johnny?
Oh God. Don't take it so personal. Don't take it so personal.
Yeah. Great advice, right? I think that's a brilliant answer. And that's all. It's a surface answer because you don't have to go any deeper because it answers it all right there. Don't take it so personal. And it goes back to what you said, just a little bit in the interview. Are you happy? Mm-hmm. Are you good? Because that's all that matters, right? Nothing else matters. Are you good with who you are and what you're doing and who you're doing it with? Then that's all that matters. And to not take anything else personally. Love that answer. Love it.
Exactly. One final question for you. If you could live in any film or television series, what film or television series would that be?
I know, right? I love fantasy. So my instinct went to either like the Tudors, because I love that period of English history.
Yeah.
Yes.
But, sanitation and hygiene wasn't of the highest caliber then, so, I probably would die of dysentery. Game of Thrones, let me have a dragon.
Absolutely.
You'd be a prince with a dragon. Thank you.
Yeah, I could totally see you with the long blonde flocks on a dragon, my man. I could see that.
Hey,
I could see.
I've auditioned enough times for it,
Well, let's make that happen. Let's call somebody, man. Come on.
Yeah.
You're Targaryen all the way. Let's go.
Exactly. Well, listen, man, thank you again for coming on the show. This has been a phenomenal conversation. I wouldn't have replaced it for anything else. Of course, we got to plug everything because that's how it goes. So where can people find you on social media so we can direct them your way?
Mr. Jonathan Howard on Instagram. Mr. Jonathan Howard.
Fantastic. And I don't think if you said, but is it available? Is the film Happy Ending available to see anywhere? Can people find that and watch it?
It's not. It's still doing the rounds on the film circuits.
Totally understand.
It's coming to an end. Like we've been doing the film circuits for coming up 2 years. So when we share it, I'll definitely let you.
Yeah,
guys
it just
know.
sounds like a good reason to have you back on, man. You got to come back on and tell us.
I want you guys to see it,
Yes,
so
please do. We'll promote it like crazy.
Oh, without
we
doubt.
followed you on all the accounts, so we'll promote it like crazy. We'll tag you, all the good stuff. But listen, man, thank you again for your time today. I know you are a busy, busy guy, but you're amazing. Keep doing what you do because you are very inspiring to others like myself and like Dustin. So just, yeah, this was an amazing conversation.
Likewise, guys. Love what you're doing. It's great. You guys are good people. So thank you very much. Been a pleasure talking to you both.
Oh, same,
Thank
and
you.
right back at you. You're a good human, beyond just the talent and what you provided for everybody trying to get into the industry. It's more what you provided as a human being and how to be a good husband, how to be a good father, just how to be a good man. And we need a whole lot more of that. And you definitely demonstrated that tonight as to who you are as a human being. So even more so, thank you for that, my friend. And yeah, we appreciate you.
All right, guys. Lots of love. Keep in touch, okay?
All right, now take care.
All right, man. I just love every single time how we just come across such wholesome individuals. We've gotten very lucky. Now, there's been a handful of people that were like, they were okay, whatever. They were a little standoffish. But I would say a good 90% of our guests, like if not more, have been just very genuine, awesome people.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This guy is just relatable. He's real. He those are my favorite type of people to not only interview but just get to know and develop a relationship with, because that's a guy you could just go hang out and have a beer with. Well, no, not now. Not anymore. Have a non-alcoholic brew. But yeah, just a guy you could go hang out with and just enjoy a conversation and have a fun time. And those are the people that you not only want to have in your life, but also want to work with and do things with. And so yeah, just wow, what an inspiring guy.
Yes, he really is. He really is. Thank you again, Johnny Howard, for coming on the show.